The story begins in an office where a young man is requesting leave from his boss due to family issues. He promises that he only needs 2 days off and assures his boss that he will make up for any missed work upon his return. However, the boss, distracted by his phone, barely pays attention. The boss explains that due to the company's new short drama department being particularly short-staffed, leaves are only granted for special occasions like funerals or weddings. As he speaks, he is seen watching a live TikTok video of an attractive woman, even sending her a rocket, which visibly brightens her mood. The young man persists, explaining that his mother is sick and hospitalized, and she needs someone to take care of her. The boss, still holding his phone, asks if the young man's father is alive or if there are other relatives who can help. He dismissively adds that it's just an illness and that leave is only granted for critical situations. Meanwhile, the woman on TikTok thanks the boss for the gift, further diverting his attention. The young man, now looking hopeless, struggles to respond. The boss continues lecturing the young man about the importance of sacrifices in climbing the corporate ladder. He boasts about how he even overworked during his own father's funeral, contrasting it with what he perceives as the laziness of younger generations. He emphasizes that in the fast-paced media industry, timeliness is crucial, and if someone else breaks a story first, the department's performance would suffer. He dismisses the young man's suggestion of working from home, telling him to forget it. The boss grows impatient, suggesting that if the young man wants an easy life, he should quit and spend as much time as he wants with his parents. He then reminds the young man that he only got the job because the company was urgently hiring and that most qualified employees come from top-tier universities. He warns the young man to be careful as trends won't wait for him, nor will his position. Later, the young man receives a phone call from his father, who is at the hospital. A nurse can be heard in the background asking Mr. Hang when Miss Joe's medical fees will be settled. Mr. Hang assures the nurse that the payment will be made in a couple of days, but the nurse angrily responds that he had said the same thing before and warns that the patient will be discharged if the fees aren't paid. Mr. Hang apologizes to his son, explaining that he was busy earlier. The son, overhearing the conversation, tells his father he will return home in a few days and help with the fees. His father, however, insists that he has already borrowed money from friends and relatives and urges his son not to worry. He reminds his son that he has just graduated and likely has no savings, advising him not to take risky loans. The father reassures his son that he is fine and tells him not to overexert himself if he can't come home. The son, deeply troubled, ends the call with a heavy heart. As he checked the amount of money on his phone, he reflected on his situation. He had been working for a year and a half, earning a modest monthly salary of 5,000 yuans. Despite this, he had managed to save a significant amount by sharing a bed with others and limiting his expenses to takeout meals. Additionally, he had earned extra income by editing videos on the side. He sighed, wondering if the 50,000 yuans he had saved would be enough to cover his mother's medical fees. Stepping out of the office, he pondered his life. Having lived for over 20 years, he had never done anything extraordinary. But today, he decided it would be different. He thought to himself, there are plenty of jobs I can apply for, but I only have one parent. With resolve, he entered the HR department. 20 minutes later, he emerged, officially unemployed. A wave of sadness washed over him as he realized the consequences of his decision. In this industry, quitting without a backup job could ruin his career. At that moment, a translucent panel suddenly appeared in front of him, displaying a message. Ultimate Freedom System has been activated because the host made a decision against societal expectations. Quitting his job as a reward, the system grants you 88,888 yuan. The boy was stunned, looking around to see if someone was playing a prank or a loud video nearby. But the panel remained floating in front of him with an interface that read, Master, please check your reward money. Almost immediately, his phone buzzed with a notification. He checked it and saw that 88,888 yuan had been deposited into his account. His savings had increased significantly. He wondered if it was some kind of scam, but the money was undeniably there. The panel reassured him. You shouldn't doubt it. You have awakened the system just like in solo leveling. Later, Xiaheng thought to himself that if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed it. Staring at the amount of money in his bank account, he wondered, did I just awaken a system? The ultimate freedom system. So, I activated it by quitting my job. He glanced at his phone again and smiled. It seems I'll have to get the hang of the system, he thought. Just then, a girl walked in and called out his name, interrupting his thoughts. Xia Heng, have you prepared for your upcoming live stream? It was Gon, a singer and dancer with a massive following of 8 million fans. Zhao turned to look at her, but his eyes inadvertently drifted downward, causing blood to trickle from his nose. Ah, it's you, he said, quickly, wiping his nose. Gowan raised an eyebrow. Have you done it? She asked. Done what? Xiao Heng replied, confused. He had been too distracted to pay attention to her earlier words. She stepped closer, a playful smile on her face. Seems like you were too distracted. Have you finally opened your eyes to your big sister? She teased, touching his face lightly. Zhao Heng chuckled nervously. You're still fond of joking around, he said. Gao Wen's tone shifted slightly, becoming more serious. You should arrange more operational resources for me. Recently, the top-paying fans have been slacking off, and the recharge flow has decreased a bit as the top female internet celebrity, Gao Wen, was known online as the sexiest dance goddess. Offline, however, she was friendly and down-to-earth, though her tendency to joke could be overwhelming at times. Zhao Heng sighed and said, I've already quit. I won't be responsible for you anymore. The company will arrange for someone else to take over. Gao Wen was shocked. Why so sudden? She asked, her eyes widening. Zhao Heng avoided her gaze as he packed his things. He thought to himself, although Gao Wen doesn't look down on others, she only gives me attention because I'm familiar with influencer work. After quitting, we'll go our separate ways, he smiled faintly, realizing the nature of their relationship. Gao Wen stepped closer, her expression softening. Do you really want to resign? I'd prefer you managing me, she said, her voice tinged with concern. Zhao Heng blushed, feeling the warmth of her proximity. I've already completed the procedures, he replied, his heart racing at her closeness. Gao Wen tilted her head, studying him. He's acting weird, she thought. Before, whenever I acted cute, he would always play along. She pouted slightly and said, Does brother Zhao Heng really want to leave me all by myself? Quitting so suddenly. Did something happen? Zhao Heng tried to steal his resolve. She's only nice to me because she sees profit in me, he reminded himself, though doubt lingered. As he looked into her eyes, he couldn't help but wonder if there was more to their relationship than business. For now, he pushed the thought aside, determined to stay focused on his new path. He told Gao Wen that he wanted to take a long vacation, stepping back slightly to create some distance. However, she moved closer, their bodies briefly touching as she looked at him with genuine concern. She asked which company he planned to join next and whether they would become competitors. She worried about her operations being handed to someone else and how long it would take to adjust to a new manager. As she spoke, Zhao Heng felt blood trickling from his nose again. This is too exciting. I can't hold back, he thought, though he quickly steeled his resolve. With a system now in his possession, he knew he could easily become a billionaire and surround himself with countless beauties. But he reminded himself not to lose focus. Gao Wen, noticing his distraction, suddenly brought up cosmetic maintenance on her nose, claiming it looked slightly crooked. Shocked, she quickly pulled out a mirror and checked her reflection near the window light. After a moment, she sighed. It seems I'll have to fix this quickly. My live stream is about to start. At that moment, a panel appeared in front of Zhao Heng, notifying him that he had been rewarded 23,333 yuans for refusing to simp for the beauty. He was stunned and immediately checked his phone, confirming the deposit. A confident smile spread across his face. He realized the true meaning of the ultimate freedom system, to be himself and resist the temptation of superficial desires. He laughed quietly, thinking, so that's the rule of the system. Gao Wen bent down, thanking him for reminding her about the cosmetic issue. She calmly acknowledged his decision to resign, saying she wouldn't stop him and that they might work together again someday. She wished him all the best in his career. Zhao Heng was shocked by her reaction. No way, he thought. Shouldn't she be furious? Why is she so calm? He studied her face, trying to determine if she was genuine or just putting on an act. Gao Wen explained that they had been colleagues for quite some time and that she wanted to treat him to dinner that night. She also offered to help him find a job if he had trouble, mentioning that she knew several bosses in the industry and could connect him with opportunities. Zhao Heng wondered if she was aware of his low education level and genuinely concerned about his prospects. He realized her words might not be empty tactics. She wasn't as bad as he had initially thought. He responded by saying that he should be the one treating her to dinner, but Gao Wen pointed out that his salary wasn't high and that he should save his money. Zhao Hang, holding his bag, insisted, "I'm leaving anyway, so I won't be stingy this time. Like you said, we might collaborate in the future, so consider this as my thanks in advance." Gowan blushed and laughed, saying, "Why is it only now as you're leaving that I'm realizing I didn't know you all that well?" Zhao Heng smiled and told her he was heading out, suggesting they get in touch after work. As he stepped outside onto the streets, he reflected on his past habits. Before, he would never take a bus, train, or taxi unless absolutely necessary, such as during overtime work. Even sharing a ride had felt like a luxury. But today, he decided to indulge in an expensive ride. A sleek car pulled up in front of him, a DD Premium ride. The handsome driver opened the door and invited him in. Zhao Heng smiled to himself, thinking about how far he had come. In the past, he would meticulously calculate every expense before heading home. But now, he felt like a completely different person. Today, I've truly made a leap in social class, he thought. As he entered the car, the system panel appeared in front of him, displaying a message. The host is feeling generous, taking a premium ride without looking at the price tag. Reward, 50,000 yuan. Zhao Hang was stunned, but quickly composed himself. The driver asked where he wanted to go, and Zhao Heng instructed him to stop in front of a pancake shop as the car accelerated smoothly. Zhao Heng couldn't help but marvel at the luxurious feeling. This is awesome, he thought, savoring the sensation of the expensive ride. When the car finally drifted to a stop and parked, Zhao Heng stepped out, feeling a mix of excitement and disbelief at how much his life had changed in just one day. As the woman at the pancake stall asked if he wanted his usual order, Zhao Heng shook his head. No, he said, surprising everyone by ordering 2 eggs and adding extra items like sausages and other toppings. He smiled to himself, thinking about how his monthly salary was only 5,000 yuans. He usually spent 800 yuans on rent and limited his food expenses to 20 yuans per meal. But today, he had already spent 15 yuans without a second thought. I've truly leveled up, he thought, feeling a sense of pride as he indulged in the luxury of adding extra eggs and sausages to his meal. He continued listing other items he wanted, causing the people around him to look on in surprise. While walking down the street, a panel suddenly appeared in front of him, reminiscent of Doflamingo from One Piece. It granted him 20,000 yuans for not only adding extra eggs, but also other items to his meal. He congratulated himself, thinking, next time, I'll get 5 eggs. As he ate, he reflected on his past. During his student days, he couldn't afford to entertain himself. And after starting work, he had no time for leisure. What do normal people even do for fun? He wondered. His thoughts were interrupted when he noticed a building nearby, remembering that he now had plenty of money and a dinner appointment with Gao Wen. Later, he realized his current outfit wasn't up to the standard of high-end restaurants, which often had strict dress codes. It's time to go shopping, he decided. Walking into the shopping center, he was greeted by the sight of popular brands like Louis Vuitton. The mall was grand and filled with the scent of oranges, which surprised him. However, the names of the stores were in English, which he couldn't understand. As he wandered through the mall, he noticed store after store, wondering why such a large mall didn't have an Adidas outlet. Am I being too small-minded? He thought, deciding to focus on Louis Vuitton instead. Entering the store, he noticed another customer being attended to by the staff. One of the saleswomen glanced at him, scrutinizing his attire from head to toe. Her expression made it clear that she considered him poor, and the other staff members quickly ignored him, continuing with their tasks. Zhao Heng felt a pang of irritation. Isn't anyone going to attend to me? He said. Although he knew he looked broke, their snobbishness was too obvious. He decided to speak up. I'm tired from work and don't have time to browse. I just want to pick something worth 150,000 yuans and be done with it, he said firmly. The staff members froze, their expressions shifting from indifference to shock. Before they could respond, Zhao Heng added, but since you're wasting my time, I'll just go next door. The moment he revealed the amount he was willing to spend, the store attendants were visibly shocked. Without hesitation, they rushed toward him, bombarding him with questions about whether he was looking for clothes or bags. One even offered to bring him tea. He couldn't help but think, so money truly did all the talking. As he left, one of the attendants followed closely behind, carrying his newly purchased belongings. He smirked. So this was the kind of luxury service reserved for the wealthy, where someone would even carry his bags for him. Before he could step out completely, the lady escorting him inquired whether he had time to attend their jewelry appreciation event at the end of the month. Zhao Heng responded nonchalantly, saying he would come if he was available. She smiled and suggested that if he was interested, he could have his purchases delivered directly to his home. Taking the package from her, he declined the offer. With a slight bow, she wished him a good day. As he continued on his way, he overheard a group of girls discussing how expensive LV stores were, lamenting that they couldn't even afford a single item from there. Xiao smiled to himself and muttered in agreement. Indeed, luxury came at a high price. Just then, a panel appeared before him, displaying a notification. The host has spent 3 years' worth of salary in one go, receiving a reward of 660,000 yuans. So, the more he spent, the greater his gains. He was just a little bit away from becoming a millionaire. Determined, he ran a hand through his golden hair and took a deep breath. He needed to work harder. At the Lingay Western restaurant, beautiful women moved gracefully around the lavishly decorated space. Xiao walked in, his presence radiant, exuding luxury with every step. The attendant assigned to him, a poised young woman, guided him toward his private room. As they walked, he briefly wondered if he had arrived too early. The attendant reassured him that the private rooms for distinguished guests came with a separate resting area where he could relax and enjoy desserts while waiting for his friends. After leading him to the designated space, she informed him that if he required anything, he only needed to ring the bell. With a courteous nod, she assured him that she would not disturb his rest before stepping away. Xiao glanced around, taking in the opulent interior and the breathtaking cityscape from the 40th floor. A thought lingered in his mind. Indeed, clothes made the man. He had never received such special treatment in places like this before. Reflecting on his journey, he realized that as long as he had money, he could enjoy the finest services and stand at heights unreachable by most. His long-held fantasies were finally becoming reality. A memory of his parents surfaced in his thoughts. Without hesitation, he transferred 100,000 yuan to his father, hoping he wouldn't suspect anything. If questioned, Xiao had already decided to explain it away as earnings from his part-time job. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a body swayed to the rhythm of the music. It was W1. She danced on a live stream, her skin glistening with sweat, a hint of her alluring figure exposed. Addressing her audience, she playfully teased the big brothers watching, reminding them that they were still missing their rocket donations. Among the viewers, Xiao happened to be watching. He had just sent her a message about their meeting location, only to realize she was still live. As another viewer sent a rocket gift, W1 smiled and thanked the generous donor. Shortly after, she ended the stream, bidding farewell to her audience and promising to see them again tomorrow. Kicking off her heels, she sank into a seat, stretching in an attempt to relax. Just then, 2 girls entered the room, asking whether she planned to eat dinner that night. W1, however, already had plans. This piqued their curiosity, prompting one of them to ask who her benefactor was. She gave them a sharp look and dismissed their teasing, but one of the girls smirked knowingly and asked if it was Heng Xingwang. The other chimed in, questioning whether she still thought about him even after quitting her job. At that moment, W1's expression remained unreadable. She simply stated that he had helped her many times in the past. And since he was the one treating, they were just having dinner together, nothing more. One of the girls jokingly asked if she could come along. W1 hesitated before agreeing, mentioning that it was probably just a simple meal. However, since Heng Xingwang was paying, she added with a laugh that if it turned out to be too expensive, they could always cover their own costs. One nodded in agreement and turned to Xinu, asking if she wanted to come along as well. Xinu agreed, remarking that it was only fair they didn't take advantage of each other. However, in her mind, she scoffed at Heng Xingwang's stinginess, recalling how he didn't even add an egg to his pancakes. She couldn't help but wonder what kind of restaurant he would take them to. One woman stood up, stating that she would remove her makeup first and meet them in the parking lot. At the parking lot, she settled into her car, feeling relieved that it hadn't been restricted that day. Meanwhile, one of the girls sighed, expressing frustration over how difficult it had been to secure advertisements lately. She admitted that she hoped to one day afford a car like W1. Hearing this, W1 casually suggested trying live streaming. The girl looked uncertain and admitted that she had never attempted it before and found it exhausting. Instead, she joked that she would rather wait for a big brother to help her climb the leaderboard. Shinu, unimpressed, told the girl Ching Ching that she was overthinking things. However, Ching Ching merely shrugged, saying, "Can't I dream a little?" Shinu sighed and let her be. Yet deep down, she had her own thoughts. Did Ching Ching really believe W1 had earned her luxury car just by dancing? Shinu was convinced that W1 must have slept with countless men to reach her current status. Snapping out of her thoughts, Shinu glanced at W1 and asked where they would be having dinner. W checked her phone, and as soon as she saw the location, her eyes widened in shock. Shinu smirked, crossing her arms. "What? Is it so shabby that you're speechless?"